Hey everybody, it's me, and today I thought maybe we should try to learn something. So, we're going to talk today about the history of something I know a lot about, and if you know me, you know it's true. Today we're going to talk about the history of giant robots. Isn't he cute? So today we're going to talk about the history of giant robots, and I've seen some videos done on YouTube about the history of giant robots. I've got my own views on giant robots. I'm a huge fan of giant robots, as many people know. And I want to make something known. A lot of people think that giant robots began with Tetsujin 23 Go. Excuse me, that's 28 Go. Which we all know as Gigantor. And we'll talk about Gigantor here in a minute. But when it comes down to it, I believe that the history of giant robots actually starts with Jules Verne. And in the 19th century, he wrote a book that contained a gigantic robotic elephant that people rode on. And I believe that to be the first giant robot. And the reason I say this is because when you get down to it, a lot of people argue about what makes a giant robot. But in the long run, it starts out with being able to be controlled by a human. I think another thing, the second thing that most people don't bring up when talking about the history of giant robots in literature and media is The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. The tripods that the Martians use are technically giant robots, if you look at it. They've got pilots and they're huge war machines, either point. Let's go ahead and let's talk about what normally people think about when they think about giant robots, and that is, of course, Tetsujin, I hope I'm saying that right, 28 Go. And we know it as Gigantor here in the States. And if you've never seen Gigantor, it's the very first giant robot cartoon ever made. And the thing about Gigantor was he wasn't piloted, he was actually controlled by a little kid with a joystick. And his name literally means, by the way, Tetsujin 28 Go, actually basically literally breaks down into Iron Man 28 Go. And he had no weapons other than his fist, fought a lot of monsters and other robots and stuff like that. And if you get a chance, look it up on YouTube, and you might get a little laugh out of it. It is very cartoony. Let's go ahead and move on to number 2 on our list, which is one of my personal favorites, which is Mazinger Z. And with Mazinger Z, or however you want to pronounce it, Mazinger was a new type of robot. He had offensive powers, the classic fist rocket that flies off and takes out the enemy. Lots of different things like that. The manga was a very dark story, and it is not like the anime. If you watch the anime, you get kind of a kiddie version of the story. But Mazinger is basically, if Gigantor was the grandfather of modern day giant robots, Mazinger has to be the dad, the father figure of all giant robots. Very popular, still out today. You can see Mazinger Z if you just look it up. I'll tell you how to spell his name. I'll put it right here, okay? You can look that up on YouTube or Google it for whatever it is. Let's talk about number 3 on our list tonight, and that's Get a Robo. Get a Robo brought up a new idea into the entire idea of giant robots, and that is the idea of combination. Get a Robo was actually 3 Getter Robos, and they form together in 3 different combinations to create, of course, 3 different robots. The most popular one is Dragon, and that's a red one with red spikes coming out of his head. Most people know it as a Shogun's Warriors figure from the 70s, and it was the most popular one of the line. But also there was, let's see, that would be Getter Robo Dragon. There's also Getter Robo Drill, I believe, is number 2. And then there's Getter Robo Tsunami, I believe. It's also known as Bear in the early episodes, I know that. But anyway, this was a great series, and it had a team feel to it, and all the team members were kind of different, and like you had the loner guy, and at the same time you had the hero character, and it set up, to me, what later on when we get to Voltron, you see that diversity of the cast, you know what I'm saying? And so that's Get a Robo, and if you have time, it's also Shin Get a Robo will also get you the exact same thing, only the newer version. He's still around still famous. I'll put a little annotation right there to tell you how to spell his name if you want to look up Get a Robo. And tonight we're going to talk about one more, and this is going to be part one, and we'll go into part two later. But tonight we're going to talk about one more of the giant robots that really define history, and this is the one that came after Get a Robo, and that's Radine the Brave. Now with Radine, who is apparently really, really, really liked by giant robot collectors. Everybody I know seems to be into Radine the Brave. Well, the way Radine the Brave was different was that Radine was not piloted necessarily by scientific aspects. He was piloted by a man, but through magic. And I've not got to see a lot of this series, so I can't tell you a lot of stuff. I have seen the transformation sequence where Radine comes out and everything like that. It's a very well drawn anime. You need to really get into it to watch it. The toys are phenomenal. They just released a super, I hope I'm saying this one right, Chogokin, which we'll get into what Chogokin is later. But Super Chogokin version, we've got a lot of metal points and magnets and stuff. CollectionDX.com, you can check it out there. But Radine the Brave actually, like I said, brought it up a notch. And then later in life, you got into stuff like, especially with the numerous Power Rangers Super Sentai series. There were a couple there where there was like, is it science or is it magic or is it both? We don't really know. So we're going to talk more about giant robots, and this has just been part one to explain the upcoming, the bringing up of giant robots throughout the 20th century. We're roughly at about the 80s point, and that's what we're going to talk about in part two. Please stay tuned for more. Hope you guys are having a good time, and I'll be seeing you.